The key thing that a year of podcasting and the guests have revealed to me and our listeners is I start to see the clarity and the connections. Would it be fair to describe yourself as an optopragmatist?
An optopragmatist. Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Uno,
Do it.
dos, tres.
Cumpleaños a ti, feliz cumpleaños a ti, feliz cumpleaños a Twice Podcast. Feliz cumpleaños a ti.
Aphrodisiac.
Yeah. Okay. We just like how you say it.
Oh, I see.
Oh, got to say it again.
I really want Madagascar to come back.
Dr. Beer. Dr. Beer.
Dr. Beer. Dr. Beer. Oh, geez, David.
Wow. Twice Podcast is fortnightly conversation with creatives, innovators and social enterprises from Christchurch, New Zealand. I'm your co-host, David Benstead. For our first anniversary, we've gathered with our most regular guests, Catarina Gutierrez and Antz Rohan, with cake and, of course, beer. Before joining them, I caught up with regular co-host, design and arts agitator, human rights activist, and whiskey and beer connoisseur, Jaya Gibson. Why do you podcast, Jaya?
I like talking to people.
Yeah.
It occurred to me just how much I enjoy it. I was at the Word Festival over the weekend, and 3 of the events I went to were just people talking about their experiences. There were a couple of interviews on stage, and then a couple of panel discussions. It just sort of occurred to me. I was like, yeah, I just really enjoy intellectual discussion, debate, because I feel I get a lot of my learning from listening to people talk. I suppose that's why I like TED Talks. I prefer the audio version than the video version, because I find people don't put enough work into the videos, and I'm like, why am I watching this when I could listen to it? Yeah, I'm quite unforgiving like that. So if you're gonna video a stage performance, there has to be something visual to look at. What's the point in going to a theater and then listening to someone talk? I find that difficult with TEDx. But on this occasion, there was the panel discussion. Panel discussions are a bit different, because you rarely get like 4 celebrities or experts on the same stage. And I don't know, there seems to be this trope around that panel discussions are painful and not very productive, and that's never been my experience. I've been a part of panel discussions that are painful, and because the last one I went to wasn't a panel discussion, it was just 4 of us. We just said something each, and then the crowd didn't respond or ask questions. It was
a 4-way monologue.
Yeah, it was exactly that. That was kind of a painful, because it wasn't a discussion. But there was this great discussion about reimagining journalism, on the sort of just preliminary to the launch of Free Range Press's new book, Reimagining Journalism, which is probably one of the more important books of our time. Right now, right this instant, it's probably the most important book.
Yeah.
Non-fiction, let's say, non-fiction book. I think, it's discussing the sort of challenges that journalism is having, and how to tackle them. And that should concern us all, because without journalistic scrutiny, corruption, politically and corporate wise, will run rife. And it's and freedom of speech and all that other stuff.
Tying back into why podcast, it sounds like then that it's to do with knowledge gather and collection, but also kind of testing out people's theories and ideas and opposing opinions and stuff. You've got this sense I've got this sense of you that you're quite a deep thinker. Would you say that was a fair call?
I like to think so.
Yeah.
I have to admit to being as superficial as anyone else, but I like to challenge myself.
Yeah.
I like to test my ideas a lot, people who know me well know that I can change my mind, and when I do, it's solid. You know, it's I've learned over time that I take a long time to come to a decision. My process is quite slow.
Considered.
Yeah, it's considered. I mean, that's very polite. I'm slow forming my thoughts, so I often falter and regret when I'm pushed to answer on the spot. I don't like that. I try to avoid that now. So I become quite politician-like. That's a good question. And in the back of my brain, I'm going, how the hell am I going to answer this? So right back at you. Why do you do podcasting, David?
Why I podcast? Between the then of over a year ago and now being a year in of this being a part of episode 26, it's actually shifted quite a bit. I knew that I wanted to find out more about what made people tick, and the kind of traditional one-on-one interview style. I tried a few of them and they were like, yeah, these are okay, but what I want to try and achieve is to reveal a bit more about the person. And so therefore hanging out with some great people prior to pressing the stupid button on doing a podcast. And I'll come to the reasons for that in a second, but I think it's that combination of making people feel relaxed but quickly building rapport and asking good questions. And I think one of the key learns for me and reasons why a podcast is that it's just hugely fascinating sitting around a table with these relative strangers, some people we know quite well, but then also trying to make sure that you get the best out of them in the hour or two that you have. And it's kind of like, what is a better question to ask? And we're still working on that. Oh, I'm certainly still working on that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think the art of interviewing, you know, it takes a long time. You know, it's a definite skill that takes time to develop. Some people are naturally inquisitive and curious and charming, and you know, those are rare people that can just, you know, at the click of a switch, you know, ask the right question without making someone feel defensive, or you know. And I think, having been a journalist for a while and having to do interviews that last 3 or 4 days sometimes, you get good at asking the right questions and then being prepared to listen for literally hours.
Yeah.
But I guess with podcasting, there's a bit more immediacy. So you want them to get straight to the point, so you can ask the next question and get some more information out. Do you feel that way?
Yeah, I think it's been pretty rare that we've had problems getting people to open up. I think our bigger, if it's not really an issue, but people realise they're in a relatively safe place and there's beer. So we've got those diversions already set up, but in a good way. And then I think our opposite issue is like, how can we get it tighter? How can we get it? How do you get to what is perceived as being the gold in the conversation without having to go through all the fluff? And it's kind of like you can't really, but that's just my selfish editing head.
Well, you can. Again, that's a skill that's developed, and I think we've done really well, to be honest, to condense what we do into 2 hours.
Yeah.
But that's one of the greatest skills of one of the greatest creative skills is reduction. You know, if you look at the great film editors, the music editors, you know, the artists, it's about how little you can do to get the story across. How much can you take away and have a refined essence of what it is? It's not about how much. It's genuinely not about quantity.
What other stuff that has really struck you in the last 25 episodes that really jumps out at you as a topic learn, or has helped develop what you already know?
I don't know if this is controversial or not, but just how much we're under siege by big multinational companies. I really think that's such a serious issue, and it's affecting so many industries, and that's clear to me, you know, having worked in 3 of them that I think are under siege. And the arts and the creative industries really suffering with a lot of, from all angles. You've got these sites like Fiverr where you can get a logo for $5. You've got Design Source, Design Crowd.
How is that possible from a quality perspective? I do not know.
Yeah, I have just no idea how you could even possibly make a living selling your creativity for $5, unless they do come from poorer countries, Eastern European, India, where their cost of living is incredibly low.
Yeah.
And the barrier to entry now, it's very low. And I think we need to, we as a society need to call these big nations to account. They're sucking the life force out of our society.
So we're going to definitely have to get the local Uber rep on then. That's going to be a controversial episode. But the Uber's maybe one example of where you have completely consistently offered a view and I mean this politely, but repeated that view. Are there any other circumstances of the last 25 episodes where you had a view, but with the new information that the guests have revealed, that your views changed at all?
Yeah, there was some discussion around education.
Uh-huh.
I think with the lovely Michelle Panza, and I think Catarina as well chimed in on that issue on an episode or two. I think that was interesting. There definitely have been. What about you, David? Is there any that stand out for you? I'm putting the spotlight back on you, buddy.
Oh no, that's all right. It's easy asking the questions. You just ask them and listen. I think for me, if I've learnt something that perhaps I didn't appreciate before, it is the huge number of passion projects that are occurring in Christchurch, and that people are doing in spite of the money. And I knew it was happening before, but now I've got a much better appreciation of the money comes from there, and some of these projects are government sponsored and some of them are completely independent. And I think the ones which are completely independent, however much smaller they may be, are the ones which are more effective because they're coming straight from the heart. And they're not coming straight from the heart looking at the paymasters. It's kind of like they're a little bit they're less encumbered, so therefore maybe in purity terms it sounds a bit weird to describe them that way, but it's just doing stuff for the hell of it and hoping that each next thing can be that little bit bigger. All you need to do is just get started, and I think that's one of the biggest learns for me personally is like, I can do anything I want. Just need to make some money out of it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've been blown away by just how many incubator programs and accelerator programs there are. There's a lot now, and I think they have their place. I was surprised by that. You're right. There's just so much new stuff happening in Christchurch, and I honestly don't know if that's unique to Christchurch, but because we're so in touch with it, we see probably a lot more than most people, and I just don't know if that's the case in Wellington or Auckland or Dunedin.
Would it be fair to describe yourself as an opto-pragmatist?
An opto-pragmatist. Yeah, that's good. That's good.
You reckon you want to do a few more episodes?
Yeah, I'm keen.
Nice.
Yeah.
Message for our current and future listeners.
Be open-minded. And challenge things. Challenge us. If you've got an idea that, if someone you think we should talk to, a subject you think we should broach, something you think we've done terribly wrong, get in touch. Let us know.
If I have a message for our listeners, it is come visit Christchurch. If you haven't already visited. If you haven't visited for 10 years or so, you'll barely recognise the place.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Not just in architectural terms, but I think in artistic and vibrancy terms.
Yeah, I really think there's an opportunity for Christchurch to be the creative city, a city of creativity in New Zealand.
So you might have to put the old The Garden City tagline to bed pretty soon.
Oh, please. Yes, let's put that to bed.
I won't even get you onto the cathedral question. Hey, Jai Gibson, valued co-host of this thing that a year ago was just an idea around a table and is now 26 episodes in as co-host. Thank you ever so much for your huge input and contribution.
Hey, thank you very much for indulging me all this time and for all your hard work.
You know me, I love spending money I don't have.
You gave birth to this thing.
Yeah. Totally.
With a lot of midwifery help from Jaya Gibson. And
Wait, who's the dad?
Wait a minute.
Who's the father?
who's daddy?
I feel so uncomfortable right now.
Yes! We haven't even had anything to drink.
And professional assistance from Dr. Catarina Gutierrez.
Doctor.
Yeah.
The doctor is in the house.
I didn't know.
You are the first Molly Valensky.
Van Hart.
Yeah.
Van Hart.
What did you say?
I was confusing you with Valensky, who appears
I'll
on our
take it.
Twitter feed a huge
okay.
amount.
Oh, yeah, different Molly.
I kind of like that, though.
Yeah?
I might take it.
Okay.
I call her Molly Van Awesome.
Van Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because of Ministry of Awesome, so.
Not just that, like,
Right.
we didn't steal the word.
Look, listen, Ministry of Awesome doesn't have copyright on the word awesome. Everyone else is allowed to use it.
Absolutely.
It's a lot in the
really,
office.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm really concerned that I've been speaking with a lot of people recently and they think Ministry of Awesome's something to do with religion.
Oh,
Not the first time.
really?
You know, like in the States, it's like the Ministry of...
Oh,
she's Jewish.
Oy vey.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Molly, just give us a really quick introduction, just in the sort of positioning so people get the heck of an idea of where you are at the moment professionally.
Where I am professionally.
Yeah.
Okay. I work at Life in Vacant Spaces.
Awesome.
And we basically get access to space in the CBD and sometimes surrounding areas and try to give that space over to people who want to do cool projects.
And it's in your job description that if you work there, you have to come on our podcast.
It's not there.
Should be.
Jane Gregg,
Gosh,
Bree Sherrow.
Yeah. It was
No,
a
Molly Van
heavily
Hart.
suggested nod, but not in the description. I thoroughly read through it
Before accepting. Molly's also a yoga teacher.
Really?
She
I am
is.
a new yoga teacher.
Far out. We know someone who wants to talk to you.
Who is it?
Hazel, my partner.
Oh, yeah.
Who will
Doctor.
be along shortly.
Does she do yoga?
She's just started doing yoga.
Does she live in Sumner?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Different Hazel.
Yeah.
Cool.
Not completely unique name, but definitely a unique person.
Oh.
Molly's
Well
also
said.
notorious for spilling water glasses on tables, so just...
Watch your
Easy now.
computers.
Easy now.
She's also my desk mate.
Really
so
excited, so.
I've been graced.
Perfect.
It was fine.
Oh, it was totally fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were fine, I wasn't, but
Yeah.
it was fine.
Not a big deal.
Oh, no, great. And Jaya, how have you been recently?
Yeah, really good, eh? Same, in the same sort of tone. I didn't really try and watch the Olympics. I watched the opening ceremony, thanks to Catarina, and I watched it in VR, thanks to Isaac, which was so cool.
She just can't do normal stuff at our
Yeah,
house.
no, that's right. It was awesome. It was such a brilliant brunch. And Anthelina and I, my wife, were thoroughly hungover, so it was really, really good.
What's the greatest guest to have where you just like feed them and they sit there and they're just having a great time?
Yeah.
Like a real low expectations, basically.
That's right. No, it was a wonderful morning, and I was blown away by the opening ceremony, and then I was just amazed by its scale and whatnot. And then I went on to hear on the news that it was one of the lowest budget ever opening ceremonies, which surprised me. And people were really dissing it, and I was like, "What are you talking about? It's so creative." I thought it was amazing.
Yeah.
So
The expectations are quite high for a ceremony like that.
Yeah, we've become quite an ungrateful race, because we're afforded high level creativity so easily that we've become quite ungrateful about the work that goes into this stuff and what people do to entertain us. So yeah, that's what I've been pondering over the last 2 weeks.
Birthday podcast.
It's a birthday. Oh my god, deep, so serious.
Yeah. Well, we're shaking it up slightly this afternoon because it's our first anniversary, which I just wanted to acknowledge just for a second, which is why we're wearing amazing hats as supplied by Mr. Gibson. Did you design the hats yourself, Jaya?
Yeah. No, I coloured them in with pencil, crayon, and
This was
everything.
made in China.
Wow.
Yeah. Totally made in China for a new world.
We've also got not one, not two, but 9 beers to taste.
Oh,
Which could be pretty interesting. So we're going to be probably shaking it up in different aspects, I reckon. Horizontal. Catarina, what was your favourite beer of the ones that you've tasted here?
oh, it was the flat white stout. Was it a stout? It was a stout. It was a porter.
No,
yeah,
it was a porter.
Was it a porter?
Yeah, it was a porter.
Number 8 Wired.
Number 8 wide, yeah.
Brewing Company's flat white
Yeah.
C4 coffee.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
I know.
Totally wedding material.
Yeah, I proclaimed that this was like the kind of beer that I would have had at my wedding, or would have at my wedding, and I have no wedding planned.
Oh, come on.
But like, you know, that in my mind that meant something.
Did you mention it to Isaac?
I did, and he was like, "Sure, yeah, beer, wedding, whatever." It's like, you don't get it. You don't understand.
That's
He
a
probably
fairly
had like
typical Isaac
VR
response.
goggles on when I was trying to explain to him the situation.
Yeah. Yes.
Or maybe the case was like, but can we have like, you know, some radical experience? Like, you jump immediately with him to like the exponentially technology sort of singularity stuff when you go, hey, what about this idea? And he goes, creative juices turned up, and then he's gone. He's at the moon already. I love that.
Perfect. Just perfect. And Jaya, I guess the easy choice for best beer was one of our more recent ones for you.
Yeah, no, it's Cabbages and Kings.
Yeah.
All the way.
Yeah.
Anthony and I were able to buy a couple of bottles the other day.
Ooh.
And she specifically said, I want a bottle for myself. I picked up one from the shelf and walked in. She's like,
That's mine.
Excuse me, aren't we getting one each? I was like, yes. Yeah, I was. Yeah, okay.
Let me just get a remortgage on that.
Yeah. So that evening we had one before. We actually shared one before dinner. Had some wine with dinner. And then shared the other one. And surprise, surprise, both of us fell asleep on the sofa.
You woke up the next day and you're like, do we have both bottles? Yeah. Damn it.
There goes breakfast. Yeah, so Cabbages and Kings. I mean, and it got full marks because of its beautiful design and its high alcohol content and its delicious flavour.
Yeah, and it wasn't just about the strength. It was about the way they put it together into this fantastic
package,
mind-numbing in a good way, which if we get to the 9th beer tonight, sounds a bit dangerous.
I thought you were going to say the V8 juice. That episode I came over and you had juice, I was like, this is the pits. We're not going to do this anymore. I think I stopped coming after that too.
Juice plus something else? Or?
No, it wasn't even it wasn't like a mixer.
No,
Just
there was no vodka.
No,
it wasn't even. It wasn't even close to Virgin Mary. It was no.
I got to point out. I was just looking back in our archives because we have those now, and episode 13 with Netta and Antz, we didn't have any beer at all.
Right, a sober one.
Yeah, it was kind of like choice of yogurts and fruit.
Oh, those were awful.
But you got to understand,
those were terrible.
we were recording at 7:30 in the morning, and they were complaining that there was no beer.
That's
mimosas.
These are my people.
True social enterprise.
These are
social
my people.
entrepreneurs.
one was an accountant and one was a lawyer.
Yeah,
those are my people. Those are my
they
people.
know.
Accountants and lawyers that drink at 7:30 in the morning. I definitely
they probably
who I
haven't
would
slept.
employ.
Okay.
Hardworking people.
What I'm going to suggest is that we break into the first beer,
Cool.
and that we divide it not just between the normal 4, but between as many people as want to have a quick taster. So, Jaya, would you introduce the first beer, which has got a very interesting label?
Yeah, this is a bit avant-garde. Garage Project always do amazing labels. It's beautifully designed. It's called White Mischief. I was kind of excited when I saw this It's got rabbits. I think they're... they're definitely... Yeah, it's Kama Sutra with rabbits. That's the label.
We can call it Molly's beer because it's all about sex education.
There you go. How do you feel
I
about
had to
it?
turn my mic back on for that one. I'm back in.
It's called Salted White Peach Sour.
No, I know, but Gartha gave 3 free choices because we didn't have all the ones that we've tried before, and he said you've got to try this.
Check it out. So
I think
are you
I've
going to
had this
open
actually.
it? You're going to open it?
Let's get it open.
I shall.
Have you seen it?
I will ask first
I will
if I can
record
open it.
this.
Very
Because it's a
important.
can, it has a very
But I want you to
satisfying opening
describe
sound.
the positions.
Oh, so many different names.
Garth described it as being a little bit salty initially,
I smell laundry. This smells like clean laundry.
but also quite perfumed. What do you reckon, Molly?
Definitely perfumed. I don't.
Right. Say hello,
Whoa.
Antz.
Hello, Antz.
Say hello, Hazel.
That's something you could
Hello,
drink in the
Hazel.
morning. 7:30 a.m.
Such well-behaved guests. All right.
It's completely unusual. I think.
All right. This definitely smells like a sour. I'm not
It's
a
a
big
morning
fan.
beer,
A morning beer.
definitely.
What?
For
A
lawyers
morning
and
after
accountants.
beer?
No, not Olympics beer. Morning beer.
Right.
It's light.
Like not morning as in crying about your bank balance beer.
No, when you have accountants and lawyers over and they want to drink at 7:30 a.m.
Right.
Give
okay.
them this.
I do like the nose. Here we go. Catarina's stealing herself.
good on the tongue.
Regular listeners will realise.
Oh, God, that's awful. I had such high hopes.
You think it tastes like urine, don't you?
Do you hate sour or
Yeah.
sour everything or just beer?
No, see, that's the thing. I like sour food. I like
Cabbage.
You don't like it because
Cabbage
it's
is
cool.
sauerkraut or something? I don't know.
sauerkraut, I guess.
What don't you like about sour beer?
I don't know. Just, it tastes too much like pee. It's kind of washing liquid crossed with vinegar.
It's like a detergent, right?
Yeah, it's
Vinegar.
like detergent with vinegar.
It's a little kombucha-y.
It's ghastly.
She's a fan of the yeast, so.
I love
Are
it.
you a big fan, Hazel?
Yeah, it tastes like kind of refreshers have been melted down in a glass. Quite nice.
Good input.
What's that?
Refreshers are
Refreshers.
kind of like an English sort of sweet, but made out of sort
Candy.
Like a lolly.
No, but
Lolly,
it's actually
yes.
it's kind of like compressed icing sugar with
Yum.
flavourings and colour and a little bit of a fizz.
Are they sour?
Not
Yes.
really.
Oh,
Yeah, I know.
Yes.
No.
Antz, did you try it?
Yeah, I did. I tasted the peach before realizing that Jaya had previously said peach in the name of it or the description.
Yeah, there is a hint of peach.
No,
in
he
it.
said pea.
Urine. You say urine.
Well, might have eaten peach before peeing, but I thought it was. I think it's okay, but yeah, I do agree. It's just a bit watered down. It's I wouldn't drink ever again.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So 0
That
from
escalated.
It's 0 from Jaya. So
we love the can.
The can, if you were, the can design by itself gets a 5 out of 5. I love it.
The can, if you're looking for sex inspiration, perhaps.
Yeah.
I think.
Kama Sutra
Awesome.
positions.
Yeah, Kama Sutra positions by
For
bunnies.
rabbits.
Yes.
And it's a can versus a bottle
Yeah.
for fans.
Trendy.
Are they trying to say that this might be an aphrodisiac?
A what?
Maybe an aphrodisiac. You know what an aphrodisiac is?
No, wait. No, you say it again?
Aphrodisiac.
Yeah.
Okay.
What?
We just like how you say it.
Oh, I see.
Oh, God, say it again.
Kettled, soured,
it
wheat, lightly salted, infused
Say it
with white
again,
peaches, blah, blah, blah.
Okay, let's. If you've tasted it, you've got to rate it. Katarina.
2.
What's our what's the scale
almost gonna
here?
go
we're
2.5.
scaling out of 5.
Out of 5.
actually.
Oh, out of
Yeah,
okay.
traditional.
Stars, not
So,
thumbs.
Yeah. How about you, Molly?
I like sour. I like animals
Yeah.
and things with sex on them. So I'm gonna go.
This is going high.
4.5.
Hey.
It's also the same name as a billboard that I saw in Nepal once of an alcohol called White Mischief, and it made me,
Nostalgic.
you're one of the only white people around, and just kind of like that.
It really spoke to you. I have a feeling everything else is downhill from here for you.
How about you, Antz? What's your score out of 5?
I'll give it a 1 for trying.
Dang, the accountant with the 1.
Anything for the actual sort of design of the label?
Isn't that the bit where they were trying?
That was the one.
Cool label, but it just sort of blends into the sea of craft beers at my local supermarket, so I don't think it's going to stand out.
So you're sticking on a 1?
Yeah.
1 it is. How about you, Jai?
I'm going with a 1. What about you?
Let me just finish on you. 1 for you for that is generous.
Yeah, I guess.
True.
But that 1 is all for the design.
Okay, so that's -5 plus 1. Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
Gotcha, yeah. Dr. Bradshaw.
I think it's at least a 3.
Oh.
It sounds like a pity 3.
It's not a pity 3.
Okay. Just making
it's
sure.
kind of a nostalgia.
Oh, nice.
Refreshers, sort of. Yeah.
Solid.
I'm going to go 2. No more than 2 because
That's definitely a pity too.
I really like that it is a can. I really like the design, very distinctive, pretty unusual. And it leads me into sex education, Molly. How did you get into sex education?
That's a great question. When I was in university, I was studying psychology, and I don't remember. I just saw something. They were starting out a new set of programs, and they wanted to try out sexuality studies as a major, but it was just a minor at that point, and it was across all disciplines. So I thought, I like sex, so I don't know, maybe. And then I went to class and I couldn't shut up about it. I loved it.
Great.
So yeah, I studied it, and then I worked at Planned Parenthood in the States for a little bit.
Oh,
And
cool.
then I'm a big fangirl. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not doing it at the moment, obviously, but still Still a big fan.
Which of the 2?
definitely having sex.
Okay.
Yep.
Great.
Not teaching sexuality studies.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Very, very clearly answers. No ambiguity there whatsoever.
Well, when you're teaching sex, sometimes you have to be very clear. But then the other
Provide
part
the
that's
facts.
awesome, everything that's open-ended. That's the part I really like.
Okay.
No,
Just don't.
no, in serious
Please, come on.
tones.
Stop.
No, when you're discussing with people and you're asking what, you get to ask teenagers like what they actually think about life.
Right.
Really? That's the part that I think is really
interesting.
rad.
That's scary.
Is you get to ask them what they think instead of constantly telling them what to think.
I remember I think our sex education entire high school, it was like half an hour long, and then you got it was like one lesson that the teachers were like, oh, let's just get this out of the way, let's just get it over and done with.
Yeah.
And you could ask anonymous questions and they would read them out, which I thought was the only good thing about it.
That's a pretty good, that's a good one.
But I think our sex education was largely terrible, as evidenced by the 3 girls in my year who all had babies at 16.
all little Gibsons.
Funny guy.
The next podcast will be some education for you guys.
Yeah, sorry, I made a mistake there. I meant to say all Man Mountain Gibsons.
Oh, please.
Jayas.
Hey, Jai, do you have a favourite episode? Just looking back at our first year.
Oh, that's tough.
Yeah.
It's like saying, I don't have any favorite children.
If I can maybe guide you by just talking about the early days, episodes 3 through to, for me it was probably episode 7, which is when we were I was learning how to use audio gear.
Oh yeah.
And what levels were or are.
Yeah.
And so the likes of Rob, Catarina, of course, Nick Hetherington, Antz, Netta and Rob again, Jason Pemberton, and Jess, who's now at Akina, Aaron Jackson.
Yeah.
So maybe sort of, to me, those are the early days. And I tried listening to one of those episodes the other day and I couldn't because it was so, the sound quality was so bad.
Such a purist.
Yeah.
I'll ask me that question again at the end.
Okay,
I'll have a ponder.
Yeah.
After beer number 9.
Yeah.
You're like, I love this podcast so much.
As soon as Katarina's left, I can say.
I hated the one she was on.
Katarina has been on.
Oh.
She is our most guested guest.
Whoa.
And our most guest co-host. I think it's like 8 guest appearances.
Wow.
It's like a safety net, basically.
Oh, no. I think it's actually more honestly because you're very funny, very knowledgeable, and you're very lovely.
Yes.
Oh. Thank you.
And you take no shit, and you give no shit. Yeah. Take no quarter.
Yeah.
Give no quarter. I don't know. What is it? How does that saying go? I have no
spend
idea.
a penny. Oh, no.
Spend a penny, get a pound.
Good or bad?
Get a pound of shit. I don't know. How does it work?
I'd like to invite Mr. Clint Selby over because he missed the first brew.
Don't worry, you didn't miss anything.
Getting him opening number 2. But what you're going to need to do, Clint, if you don't mind, is just quickly say hello.
Hello.
Gosh.
God, how
So
smooth.
That's very smooth.
Crikey.
Just go straight into it. Get the mic.
I could just see a lot of women listeners swooning there, and some guys. I
And
suppose.
guys, yeah. Maybe some rabbits.
Maybe.
Alrighty, grabbing yourself a glass and just...
It might be a mug.
Seeing how it can eke out across... Jai, just quickly describe what number 2 is.
Right, so it's another garage project can. Beautiful design, Happy Daze Pacific Pale Ale, which is actually one of my favorites for sure. Happy Daze, happy, the Maori word for hop, inspires this truly Pacific Pale Ale brewed with New Zealand barley and the best of Kiwi hop harvest, Motueka, Waiti, Riwaka, and Nelson Sauvon. Assertively hoppy, exceptionally drinkable. I can't disagree with that.
You thought of doing voiceovers?
No. Right. Okay. Now that the humiliation is over.
Now, if everyone raises a glass who'd like some, then you'll have to decide how many it's got to get around, I'm afraid. But the advantage is that you get to taste all the rest of them as well.
That's plenty. It's good.
Yeah,
It's
about
gotta go
half
around.
what you've offered, Jaya. Perfect.
Just a wee bit.
Yeah. All right, initial impressions, please. Oh.
Thank you. Aromatic.
Molly?
So good.
Piney.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm in the woods.
Happy.
I'm happy.
Yeah. Hellishly hoppy. Yeah. Dr. Bradshaw, you need to get to a microphone and give us a quick input.
Smells good.
No nonsense northerner. Girl, one of the many reasons I like her so much.
So pragmatic.
All right, let's get our laughing gear around it. See what we think.
It's like the lawn. Tastes like the lawn. Like a forest.
In a bad way?
If you're into that, yeah.
I'm just checking the first can to see if there's any rabbits on lawns doing things.
Doing things.
No, not at the minute.
Pale ale, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jai, just chuck the microphone at Clint, get his initial impressions.
It's a cheeky little number. Wee bit fruity. I do like pale ale. And it's very tasty.
It's kind of got some honey flavours going on. I quite like that. So, but it's got a bit of a dark undertone, so maybe it's more bees.
Ah, yes.
Ooh.
Yes. I like that.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Catarina.
I like it. It's like just a step up from the last one to me enough that I'm setting my expectations on this like bridge to number 9. So hopefully, I mean, I don't think I'll make it to that one, but it's getting better. It's getting better. So
Yeah.
What about you, David?
I really like it. I really like that it's not trying too hard. It just seems to just deliver on the golden glow of good times, and it's not trying to be too extreme, but it's much more interesting than your basic beer.
I love the color. I like a lot about it. It's not perfect as a pale ale goes, but yeah, it's up there.
Golden without looking at all like urine.
Yes, that's right.
I kind of disagree on that. I think it definitely looks a little bit urine-y.
You don't have enough water in your
Especially
diet.
if you haven't had enough to drink in a day.
That's right.
It's like exactly.
So just mentioned to listeners, we did a bit of an early shift this morning at a job in town, and we're not morning people, let's be honest. So getting up at 6 o'clock is quite a big ask for the
Katarina.
for the
You can
doctor.
just you can come over. That's great. What's your rating for this one?
3.5.
Okay. 3.5. Molly?
2.5.
2.5.
Just a classic beer.
Antz?
From the whole none of it that I drank,
Oh, you didn't drink any?
not applicable.
Not applicable. NA, right. So you're disqualified from this round. I give this a 3.5. I really like this one.
Yeah, I'm going to go 3.8.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
very, very happy with this.
Hazel?
3.
Okay, still a pass.
Clinton, marks out of 5.
3.
Okay, very definitive.
Oh, very good.
All right, no
Very
messing.
good. Antz,
How have you been, man?
yeah, how are you? How's life?
You've been away, haven't you?
It seems like a very distant memory now.
Really?
But yeah,
You were away for a long time.
I know.
Almost 2 months? More than 2 months?
No, 6 weeks.
6 weeks.
Yep, that was nice just to get away, have a small holiday and recharge the batteries to get back into work again.
A wee holiday. It looked like you went large, mate. You went large.
Kevin and Perry went large.
Yes. Yeah.
I didn't go as large as them.
No, you didn't. Right. Okay.
But I still went to Ibiza.
Yeah. Looked awesome.
What I really like, one of the many things I really like about you is that it feels like there's two personas. There's the accountant and there's the other one. Do you know?
Why can't they be the same person?
They are the same person, but on a couple of previous episodes that you featured in, it's been this sense of don't tell anybody about the DJing. Oh, sorry, done that again. And also, working at the coalface of getting people's accounts in and making the numbers line up and keeping them happy. So
In my world, they're one and the same thing, really.
What's your DJ name?
DJ Firefly.
And you're on what? Where can we hear you?
We're on Pulsar FM 105.7 on Saturday nights from 8 p.m. And we've got a monthly radio show on happyhardcore.com radio.
Cool. And so when you're not doing accounting and DJing, you do a lot of work in the social enterprise world, and you're quite involved in the Social Enterprise World Forum, is that right?
Yeah, I'm helping out on the logistics side of things, and yeah, just
we're not allowed to talk about it until they've had the one in Japan this year, right?
In Hong Kong.
Hong Kong.
I was about to say, where are you going?
Sorry.
Where? Well, why are we not allowed to talk about it? Are we not?
Because it diverts attention away from the current one.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, we're allowed to talk about it.
Right.
We're just not allowed to internationally promote
Yeah.
the fact that it's, hey, come here, because, obviously, because we wouldn't want that happening.
Yeah.
For the 2018 forum, saying, hey, come to our country instead of going to New Zealand.
No, totally fair point. Actually, we've got Akina's Sam Elder, she runs Q branch, Christchurch branch, down here, talking about the Akina Foundation's work. Jaya.
Yes.
Looking forwards.
Yep.
Who would you like on podcast who hasn't been on yet?
Elon Musk.
Excellent. Do you know, what's interesting is that pretty much everyone we've asked has said yes. So it's an option. Elon Musk.
We've had very few refusals.
Yeah.
But I won't name any names. Matt and Tim. You know who you are.
Who would you like to see Antz on a future episode that you'd like to get around a microphone, either just to embarrass them or to ask them tough questions?
I think it would be quite nice to hear a minister of our government
Oh, yeah?
on the podcast to get a government perspective on things, and on beer, obviously, and on social enterprise.
Dr. Bradshaw, who would you like to interview or have a conversation with on a future episode?
Ooh, I think Jesus would be good.
Jesus?
Yeah, definitely. I think actually getting back to finding out their personal opinion of where religion has gone over the years, I think would be really good. Yeah, to see where it's diverged and kind of like see who they were chatting to at the time.
Yeah.
So I think that would be quite good.
I thought you were referring to as many social enterprise plights as as feeding
He
a
was very good at
mass
that.
of people with, was it two loaves of bread and a couple of fish. He did amazing work with very little.
He did, yeah. He didn't quite get the chips down, but, he was working on it.
Hazel, anything specific you want to achieve?
Yes, earning more money than I earn now would be good. But I think that's pretty much what everyone hopes and dreams for. I do have a couple of games that I want to get out there. So this kind of social impact games.
Cool.
So I design and build those. So I want to kind of do something with literacy, and I want to do something with eco-management. So I want to actually see those getting funded and actually having something out there that we can release.
Have you heard of Dave Lane's Cacophony project? It's not a game as such, but I think it's a really cool project.
Yeah, I had a meeting with Grant Ryan, who kind of is one of the sort of key people who's pushing it, and he was like, he's got a doctorate as well, and he was like, it's great, because if you have a doctorate, apparently people believe you when you say things. And I was like, I've noticed that, it's quite funny. So you can kind of randomly say stuff, but it is actually true. So it does help to kind of people take you seriously. In that kind of thing.
For listeners that don't know what the Cacophony Project is, it's sort of like a crowdsourcing of bird song in people's backyards to determine over time the diversity of birds and the growth or the decrease in the type of birds across the country. It's a really great idea. If you look for the hashtag Cacophony on Twitter, I'm sure you'll come up with a lot of stuff on there. So I recommend that.
My hopes and dreams for the rest of the year are pretty mundane. I've got a family all coming to Christchurch for Christmas this year, so I've decided that a goal is I actually have to sort out my garden a bit. It looks like a sort of like an overgrown forest where once there was grass and pretty roses. So I'm trying to do a native bush setting there, but I've got to sort it all out and then plant stuff for it to happen. Somehow it just doesn't happen by itself.
That's quite a big task before Christmas.
I think if I get it sorted in September, at least there's the inklings of something going on. At least it's tidy.
Yep. That's admirable. Some very sort of eco-friendly themes going on here. Catarina, tell us about your hopes and dreams for the rest of the year. You got big plans, you got some goals you want to cross off?
I have a big bike project coming down the pipeline. Woo! Woo! Is that how you guys sound when you ride your bikes? I hope so.
Yeah.
Woo!
It's
I think we should do that more.
It's more like, get the f*** out of my way!
Or,
I'm gonna die!
That's how I feel.
That's pretty much
cycling, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of long periods of boredom punctuated by short periods of panic. Which is
Cycling in Christchurch. Subtitles.
That's basically it.
So I'm out to change that.
Awesome.
With all the bike hats and hats that I wear and organizations that I'm a part of, I realize that there's a need to really connect all of those.
Cool.
Both in the physical space, so I would love to have a hub, a bit of like a bike collective. This model has been done many times around the world, and I would love Christchurch to have a space just for bikes and bike people and bikey things, including coffee and beer.
That sounds so cool.
Right, and I want to put it right in the middle of the South Frame car dealerships.
So cool.
So you can just piss them off as you go.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Free energy.
Where do I
just
sign
go,
up?
we can all exist together. So that's my hope and dream that's a big project. I don't know that I could execute on something like that by the end of the year, but my hope is to keep moving forward with that project and just continue to make some moves in that direction.
That is so cool. Shut up and take my money.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
I need a crowdfunding.
I'm so there.
Awesome. Thanks.
I know someone who's really good at startup activation. Oh, wait.
Oh, that's also me. So I'm basically practicing what I preach, which is
That's
great
brilliant.
that at work I have the freedom to do that. So that is a bit of like the side pet project, but under the experience that I've already gained as the startup activator at Ministry of Awesome.
What about Ministry of Awesome? Have they got any super duper plans for this year?
Yeah, definitely. It's nothing too different. It's more of a lot more focused, which is fantastic. So focusing on early stage ideas and entrepreneurs with ideas, which for a while there, I think people considered us a place for everyone and anyone, and it's not that. So what does it mean to be just for early stage ideas and entrepreneurs? It means doing our co-working really well. It means continuing to facilitate some of these big workshops that we've been doing, series of them, more and more, and creating more content around that, and more live events. My dream is to have people like launching their startup at our events. That would be amazing.
That would be cool.
So we could aim for that, and that will keep us plenty busy for the rest of the year.
That sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
So how early is an early startup?
I know.
Are you talking embryonic? Are we kind of like a couple of people getting together? Or is it an idea, or is it like something that you've already sort of pulled together?
Yeah. The short answer is it's pre-revenue, pre-product sometimes. That is debatable for a lot of people. We want to support people who have actually just had an idea. You woke up one morning and said, well, wouldn't this be cool? And be able to walk into somewhere and go, now what do I do?
Kind of like where they're at their like starting point.
Kind of like the starting point slogan we have dangling around. So it's a starting point for early stage ideas.
Wow.
I have an early stage idea.
Are you going to share it with us?
Yeah, it's called
Hart.
My idea is that we open this beer bottle and taste it, and then
Taste
rate
the
it.
bottle.
Yeah, just
lick the bottle.
Open this
Just lick
bottle
the bottle.
and taste. Yeah, well,
Taste the
you could.
beer
Yeah,
inside.
taste the beer inside. Yeah.
Cool.
So
Does that sound good?
the beer is actually called.
Hart, the heathens are coming.
It's so appropriate.
It is. It really is.
Why is it appropriate?
Oh, just coming out of Jaya's mouth. It just sounds.
It sounds like something that he would say.
And I just love everything about this. So it's a white label, and all the design is on the edges of the label, and the brand is Tool, with one of those funny crosses through the zeros, like it's from Iceland or something. So it's probably Tool. Like that. That's really how it's pronounced. Right, who's gonna open this for us?
Nice. That was lovely.
Also has a white cap. I feel like that's
Yes,
kind of different.
It is.
It's like a hipster beer.
It is very hipster.
beer.
Yeah.
Do you think any of them are not hipster beers?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Well, how unusual for craft beer to be a hipster.
I get it.
Cheers.
It's another sour, Jaya, right?
It's sourish. It's
It's not sour.
I want to like it.
I want to like it.
I want to like this one.
I'd say it's more bitter than sour. Would that be a way to describe it?
Yeah, I would say that. Yeah.
Belgian bitter.
It's a bit thin.
Everyone's looking slightly confused.
They're like, who's gonna,
what
do you
is
have
this?
an opinion?
Jaya, just talk us through the label very briefly because it's quite unusual.
Yeah, so it's a white label. The designs are all on the sides. It's trying to be provocative, I guess. It's got a picture of Stonehenge, some dude holding a Viking's helmet, some shots of bacteria through a microscope.
Mm-hmm.
And I really don't know what that is, whether it's a starscape or a photo of some
Grass.
grass or concrete. Oh, dear God, who knows? Be afraid, be very afraid. This puppy is twisting history. It is a grisette from back in the days when Mother Nature was a young stud, twisted with a smack load of hops and fermented with Brettanomyces.
So I thought we were on this trajectory up. I think it's pretty good. I do really love the label.
Yeah.
So that kind of got me. But the taste-wise, it still tastes a little bit like the first one, so I'm not a huge fan.
Oh, no. So
It's okay.
it's
not your fault.
less of a trajectory, more of a kind of a roller coaster. Hazel, you've been the best at describing it. You describe it.
Everyone just goes, meh.
Everyone's just like, I don't even want to bother.
It tastes like don't know, concrete.
Wow.
Concrete.
Jeez.
You know, like
Okay.
that dry, powdery kind of
Yeah.
concretey. It's just not kind of tripping off the tongue.
David, come on, say something
that's
nice.
That's fine. I quite like its bitterness, and I like that it's better than the first one we had. The sour.
Damning with faint praise here, man.
Yeah, I really like the label though. I really like that the front of the label is basically plain, and just, you know, they're trying to make a bit of a statement about everyone else tries so hard with what they think a label is, and these guys, girls, are just doing something completely of their own preference.
Yep.
So I've got to admire that, and I'm going to give an extra point. So I'm going to take it up to 4 overall.
Wow.
So 3 for the beer and the extra point just for the label's
Right.
unusuality.
Catarina, what's your score?
3. Solid 3.
Solid 3.
It's better than the first one, but I'm not
right.
a huge fan. And I do really love the label.
Hazel?
I actually think the label's a bit wanky.
Right, fair enough.
Art.
Yeah.
And it just seems a bit, yeah. And I think the beer's not so good either. So for me, it's a kind of 0.5.
Wow.
And that's only because it's wet.
Right. Whoa. Clinton, what's your score for this one?
Yeah, it's going to get a measly 2, sorry.
Jeez. Wow, harsh critics. Molly?
1.
Damn. Oh my goodness.
Sorry.
Right.
Wow.
Right, well, David, you are just on the other side of this.
I prefer outlier, but we'll
Yes,
go.
we are outliers, because I'm going to be audacious and say 3.5.
Oh, very good.
Yeah,
Very
and
good.
3. Oh, did you taste this one, Antz?
Yeah.
Sorry,
I decided to taste this one.
Antz, go for it.
It's
Tell
quite
us.
all right. I just have to say I've never been a big beer drinker. This reminds me of every time when someone has a craft beer and says, "Oh, you'll love this one. It's delicious," and I taste it. I'm like, you just don't get it, do you? And then recently, having gone to Belgium for 2 days and basically soaking in beer, I was just astounded by how good beer can taste. So I was a bit excited when I saw something about this being from Belgium, and
Right.
then I tasted it.
And then,
It's not.
no.
It reminds me of every other craft beer that people
Right.
have here in New Zealand.
So, taking all that into consideration, how many points?
I'll still give it a 2 because of its
2.
origins and how far it's come to get into my mouth.
Wow, that's right. That I think it still scores higher than the first beer, but it's still pretty, you know. You're bailing.
Just get a quick goodbye. Just got to
Oh.
got to go on to another party. Busy lady.
Thanks for having me and happy birthday.
Thanks for coming.
No, I
Happy
really
birthday
appreciate
to
all
you
your
too.
help, Catarina.
Yeah, awesome.
Really nice meeting you, Molly.
Awesome.
Very lovely meeting both of you.
Jaya, just talk to me about episode favourites. We just touched on briefly.
I think the most easy to remember was Glenn Pickering from the World Buskers Festival.
Yeah, his first appearance, which was number 9.
Yeah,
Yeah, way back when.
yeah, that was hilarious, and getting him to do all the voiceovers and everything. He was just kind of hyped and super fun.
Super good sport.
Yeah. What about yours?
For me, difficult to disagree with that choice there. Number 8 with Lani Evans, Vodafone Foundation New Zealand, and Kevin from Vodafone Dark Star. Did I say that? Number 8. So I had a really nice chat, and I think that was the first time we realised what the true potential of gathering around a table, drinking beer, and hearing really fascinating stories about people doing super cool stuff, in addition to getting the levels a bit better.
This is Ballast Point, the Commodore American Stout. Here we go.
My God, it looks like treacle.
No.
I was going to say like sweet soy sauce or something. It looks delicious.
Very healthy.
You know, with sweet soy sauce, like nom, nom, nom.
Can I
Drinking it down by the
dip
glass
my
bowl.
sushi in it, please?
My brother downed a bottle of the remains of a bottle of soy sauce for £10, and it was worth it. to watch him puke for half an hour.
Great. Initial impressions, folks.
Looks like creamer on top of a coffee, doesn't it? And that might be just because I'm drinking it out of a coffee cup, so I don't have the horizontal view.
It's definitely got a bit of a head on it, which is something I've always hated on a beer.
We'd have to blame the pourer for that.
Oh, great.
It took a second until he realised he was the pourer.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Okay. Initial tasting impressions, Dr. B.
It's very velvety.
And you're not normally like a dark beer drinker, are you?
No, this is quite nice. It's not bitter. It's quite velvety. And it feels kind of chocolatey, but without the sweet chocolatiness.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's good.
Antz, any thoughts?
I feel I may have jinxed it because I can't stop thinking about soy sauce. And not sweet soy sauce, but salty soy sauce.
Dark soy sauce.
I've got to clear my mind for a moment and have another taste.
I think you've
try that other beer back. That'll clear everything.
Maybe Hazel's synesthesia has got contagious.
I taste things.
Yeah, no, it's not as favourable as last time. It's much drier than I remember, and much more bitter. But I still like it. I think I've been spoilt by Cabbages and Kings.
So scores on the doors for our beer number 4.
I think it's favourable. I'll give it a 3.5.
Oh, something's going to have to be pretty special to hit the 4 barrier with you, isn't it?
I like wheat beer.
Yeah. We didn't do that this time round. How about you, Antz? Soy sauce?
I was interested in its dark complexion, and I'm a hard man to please.
Yeah, we know. We know.
I will give it a 2 because I will eventually finish this, so it's drinkable.
Wow. You make Hazel look generous.
I'm going with a 2 as well. Yeah, I have been spoilt by Cabbages and Kings. That's kind of the gold standard.
Yeah, totally.
So you can't, I'm judging it in relation to that now.
Yeah. 2.5.
2.5?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No huge excitement going on there for me.
Right. Hazel is not happy about this, but
But I'm really going to look forward to seeing how we rated it in the episode 17.
I know I'm going to get a feeling that I'm going to be shocked at what I said in the previous one.
Yeah, changing tastes. Well, this is the Twice podcast, our first anniversary edition, and just wanted to thank my co-host, Mr. Gibson.
Thank you.
This may not even see the light of day.
Yeah.
But also our guest, Dr. Bradshaw.
Thank you.
Dr. Hazel Bradshaw.
Thank you.
And also our amongst other guests, Antz Rohan.
My pleasure. Thank you for the invitation.